Hey, welcome everybody. We'll get started in a few minutes, or probably like a minute or two actually. We'll let some more people come in and join us, but welcome. So before we get started, I'd like to interact with you guys in the chat. So make sure that you turn the chat to all panelists and attendees so everybody can see what's going on. So if you have any questions or if you have any comments, definitely leave them inside the chat. But I'd like to know, to get to know you guys. How many people are freelancers? How many people are agencies or partners as well? It'd be great if we can interact in the chat and talk about it. See, we have an agency partner, another small agency. Yeah, and also, let us know where you're from too. I see we have Quebec and Sweden. We have a freelancer, India and Rochester. Awesome. So we're getting people from all over the world right now. Nice. See lots of freelancers. Cyprus, Chicago, New York. Awesome. I'm from New York actually, from Long Island too. I see Billy, you wrote that. I'm doing great, Gurpreet. Awesome, guys. Cool. So just remember, make sure that your chat is set to all panelists and attendees so that we'll be able to see everything that goes on. And feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We will have Q&A towards the end of our session here. So don't worry if we don't get to your questions right away in the chat. We'll be able to get to most of them towards the end of the webinar. And with that being said, we'll get things going. So again, welcome everybody to our webinar for Wix partners. And we're going to talk about how to elevate your functionality of your site using Corvid. So you guys have definitely been using Wix for a while now, and Corvid could be new to you, or it could be something that you're interested in. So we're going to learn a bit about how Corvid can help you elevate the way that you're creating these sites by adding content-driven sites and keeping them dynamic, and adding custom solutions and custom code, and integrating with third-party services. There's lots of options when it comes to using Corvid. And today we're going to dive into the ins and outs and some of the most important parts of what it takes to use this platform, and how it can help enhance the way that you're creating your sites while using Wix. And before we get started to go into the details about what Corvid is, I'll introduce myself. My name is Joshua Alphonse. I'm from New York. By trade, I'm a full stack developer. For fun, I'm a music producer. So for all things hip hop, I like collecting vinyl records and vintage synthesizers. And for work, I'm also a developer advocate for Corvid by Wix. So definitely feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or LinkedIn. So my Twitter handle is @JoshAlphonse, and my LinkedIn, you can just reach out to me by using my name here. So one of the most important things about Corvid is that it does give you the ability to grow your business with web development services. So you can expand your offering once you're in the marketplace, or if you're doing things as a freelancer, and actually um, give more services and more features to your clients. So you can grow these clients on demand and give them custom code solutions so that they can give more features and functionalities to their users when they visit their sites. So for those of you that might not know what Corvid is a UI builder for web applications. So it works right on top of the Wix platform, but it gives you the ability to use JavaScript to code custom solutions on your website that change your Wix website from a static website to a dynamic website. Corvid has a built-in IDE where you can write your JavaScript code, or you could use the local editor as well. So the only language that's supported with Corvid is JavaScript, but JavaScript is the world's most popular web language, and there's lots of resources to learn JavaScript. And on top of that, Corvid has lots of educational resources to learn from as well to get started, even if you're a beginner. Corvid also has integrated databases, so you don't have to go anywhere else to use a database. It's all in-house. It's completely serverless because we have plenty of APIs that we already have built in that you can call and use throughout your site, and then also combine them with the verticals we have available, like Wix stores, bookings, events, you name it. And another great thing about Corvid is that it requires zero setup, and you can create production grade applications all in your browser from the same browser you're using Wix from. So if you have an existing site, have no fear, you can go and turn on dev mode, like we'll show you later today, and you'll get all of the tools you need to get started with Corvid. So we just went over what Corvid is, but why Corvid? Well, Corvid will be able to give you more abilities to enhance your site by giving you features that full stack developers will get from other environments. So I like to think of Corvid as a full stack utility belt or your in-house full stack suite that we already have available for Wix that you can use. So Corvid itself will give you the ability to integrate with third-party services, which we'll see later today. And I think that's really important for you as business owners and agency owners or freelancers to know, because you'll have other services across the web that you'd like to use to enhance your site even more that you wouldn't have the ability to do beforehand without Corvid. So Corvid is optimized for agencies and freelancers. So we have the developers in mind. So you can build any web application that you'll need for your clients. You can increase your developer velocity because of the combination of no code and low code solutions that we have when using Corvid. So you already know that from the Wix editor that you can drag and drop UI elements that we have on the page. But now with Corvid, we have the ability to drag and drop those elements in the page and then add JavaScript code to them. So now this eliminates CSS or HTML, and now it helps increase the velocity that you have when you're developing these applications. And on top of that, it's cost efficient. So because you're working on the Wix server, there's not much server maintenance. We have serverless functions that we also use as well. And it's not something that you'll have to worry about in terms of cost and things that are hidden that you find out later on. What you see is what you get when you're using Corvid and Wix and altogether. And another thing that you won't have to worry about is security. When you're using Corvid, it's all secured under the Wix Secure Cloud. So that's another thing that you won't have to maintain. And on top of that, it's customer friendly because of the easy drag and drop interface that we have. And also we have lots of resources to look at. So from the Corvid forum that has lots of our super users in there. We also have some of our team members from R&D. I'm also in there as well, helping answering questions or starting conversations as well with our users. So there's lots to do in terms of learning from our community. There's also services online like our collaboration with Codecademy. We have a class there as well that you can take. And this is just a quote from one of our agency owners, Benny Glasser. And he's just speaking about how Corvid has allowed him to customize these web applications to meet the specific needs and requirements of his clients. So sometimes your clients will have complex ask for what they'd like on their sites. And before Corvid or having the ability to use JavaScript, it might not have been possible. But now if they want to integrate their favorite service or integrate their existing database that they have already somewhere in MySQL, or even add some animations to your website to spruce it up a bit, Corvid does give you the ability to do so with a lot of our internal APIs. So you'll be able to deliver tailor-made solutions for your clients. You'll be able to add advanced site capabilities like we spoke of, customize elements and apps. You can build custom forms and dynamic pages. So Instead of just using Wix forms, you can create your own custom forms to then go to a content collection and also create dynamic pages. So you can pass that 100 page limit, but still work with items that you're storing inside your content collection. And on top of that, one of my favorite features about Corvid, connecting to powerful third-party services. So we do have integrations with NPM modules, and NPM is the world's largest registry for JavaScript packages. So if you're looking for ways to make your code more concise, and then also be able to use those third-party services, you can still use them from NPM by installing from our backend. So the platform of Corvid, as I mentioned, it's easy to get started. You just turn on dev mode, and there's no additional cost to using Corvid as well. So let's start by talking about how to add advanced site capabilities. So we can start to give our clients more, and we can actually start to accomplish those complex asks that they have for what they want their website to function as. So we have world-class Wix apps and e-commerce for e-commerce, bookings, blogs, and members. So you may be familiar with those verticals, and you can still use those verticals when you're using Corvid. And on top of that, we do have APIs that support those verticals as well. So if you're using something for Wix stores and you want to add some type of custom functionality to how you want things to be displayed or how you want things to work out during checkout, you can do so with the Wix Stores API. We have one for the front end and for the back end as well. And you can customize your experience throughout your site using event handlers. So as you see in this image to the right here, this is just another example of how you can create custom forms and buttons and also bring them to your page and then customize different events. So when I click a certain button, I can navigate to a new page, or I can also hover over something or go on viewport to once I scroll somewhere, it will trigger a function. So let's take a look at our example site here. And we have a site called Prickles & Co. And Prickles & Co. is a website that is just acting as a store for plants. So this is not a real site. Can't go here and buy plants. But this is a great example to show you a lot of the advanced capabilities that Corvid has. So as I mentioned, we do have event handlers that can be able to give you these custom capabilities with your site. So we have lots of those event handlers that we can use. So as I go here and we have dev mode already on, and if I was to turn it off, we'll see at the top here, we don't have our IDE or our side panel here. And once I turn dev mode on, I'm able to get my IDE, and this is where I'll type my code. And I have my site, our side panel here where I can show all of our pages, our code files for our backend. We can search our code in case we can't find anything and we want to know exactly what file that we're working in. And we also have our integrated databases. So if you want to add events to different UI elements that we have on our page, let's say this button, for example, I can go here to this button, select it, open my IDE, and go to my properties panel on the side and add an event. These events can be combined with the different APIs we have. So if I wanted to use an API, so for example, Wix location, I can then create an on-click function like I just did with this with the properties panel. And this on-click function that I use with Wix location, I can navigate to another page or another URL. So you can use these event handlers to continue. You can use these event handlers to combine with our APIs to create these custom experiences. And let's go back to the slides for a moment. And there's some more advanced features that you could use when you are using Corvid. So Corvid also does have the ability for you to create your own API with HTTP functions. And you're able to do this with your content collections and using it from the backend. You can connect external databases. So if you have an external database that's already existing on MySQL or Google Firestore, you can also use that there as well. You can build a custom members area. So if you're looking for custom members area to add profiles and have ways for users to send messages to one another, you can create that custom members area with Corvid in combination with our APIs and the content manager. We also have the ability to create scheduled jobs. So if you have certain functions that you're creating in Corvid, you can actually schedule them to work during certain times of the day, certain times of the year, the month. No matter how you code it, you can customize it. So again, we'll talk a little more about our customization of our elements and apps here. And as I mentioned, Corvid has tons of internal APIs, tons and tons for you to look at. So either if you're interacting with a UI element on a page, like a repeater or a text input box, or even with a vertical like Wix stores or bookings, we have APIs that interact with all of those elements in verticals. So this is just a quick glimpse of what our API reference looks like. And this is going to be your home, pretty much like your Bible when it comes to using Corvid, right? You can come here, you can find all the information that you'd like, and you can also see code snippets and examples that you can copy and paste to your page in case you get stuck. So let's take a look at an API reference. And just to show you how easy it is to get started with something, even if you're a beginner, if you're advanced and you're looking for more information about how to get started with our APIs, I would start here with our API reference. So if we go here to Wix editor, $W code. So $W is our API that allows us to select certain elements on the page. So with Corvid, you're able to ID elements with the properties panel that we just saw, so that we can use, so we can pinpoint and select that exact element that we have and add custom functionality to it. And you definitely should have this bookmarked on your browser. I think that is really important. It's right there for me when I'm getting started and going with my projects. I just click and I go and I search the API that I'd like to use. So if I wanted to use, let's say, Wix data that allows us to manipulate our content collections and query those, I can just look that up and find what I need and get going. And if I want to learn how to use the filter function, I can just click filter right there. And then I'll have a code snippet that I can copy and paste. And then I can replace inside of my IDE all these other elements that I have here as well. So that's our API reference. So I definitely encourage you to check that out in case you get stuck or want to learn more about our APIs. And also, we have the ability to build custom forms and dynamic pages. So custom forms are something that we get asked about a lot, right? So you do have Wix forms, and Wix forms can still connect to your content collections, but sometimes you want to add a little bit more flavor to your forms and add some more functionality to when your users are interacting with them. So similar to how I just showed you some of those event handlers, you can then add them to these custom forms. And the custom forms aren't too far from what you're already familiar with. You can simply drag and drop different UI elements. For this instance, it would be input boxes. And you can connect those to data and get going and actually submit some of that same content that you're collecting from that form to your collection. And dynamic pages are a way for you to reuse templated pages to change the data that's going through it or the content and keep things dynamic. So let's take a look at what these custom forms look like. So let's go here to our contact page. So in Corvid, we have our pages are here on the side, and we're able to actually navigate to all of them. We don't have to use pages if we don't want to. So let's just minimize our IDE for a bit. So here we have some custom forms. So this custom form here was built by just dragging and dropping UI elements to the page. So I went here to input and dragged and dropped a UI element here. And I can even come here and rename it with the properties panel. But I already have things set up and ready for us to go. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to get started with the content manager. So let me just delete this example here for a second. So when using the content manager, there's a few different UI elements that come with it. And this is a data set. And a data set is just a bridge between our UI element and what we have in our content collection. So for this instance, we have a database here for our contact form. And right now, we're just going to be capturing the first name, the email, and the phone number and then also the message that we're leaving. So we'll just go here, we'll click each UI element, and since we already have our data set and ready to go and connect it to our contact form data content collection, and all of the modes are set for write only, and I have the name here, I can just simply click each input box that I have here and put for first name. I could connect this here using the connect to data button, connect this to our email text, and then I can connect this. Let's see, this should actually be phone number. So let's change this to phone number so we're not confused. And we can actually always find ways to customize our sites on the go. And I can connect this right here to our phone number field. Same with messages. I can connect this to data as well. And notice that I'm not coding at all right now. So this is a part of how our how Corvid helps increase the velocity when it comes to development. There's lots of ways for you to get started to create these content-driven sites without having to be a developer or having to code at all. So let's change the action here to submit. So it goes straight to our our content collection. And now it's set and ready to go that we can submit. So let's see here. So send our message. Let's see. Let's actually publish our site. So hold on, let's go back to our site here. Our other tab. And once it's sent, you'll be able to go and view it inside of your content collection as well. So there's lots of features there when it comes to using our content manager. So you'll be able to send straight to your content collection that we have on the side for contact form. And let's go back here to discuss dynamic pages. So our dynamic pages allow you to create multiple pages that have the same design layout, but have different content flowing through them. And to get started with the dynamic pages, it's really easy because you use the same content collection that you're creating, and it's from a click of a button, you can get started and get going. So you can create hundreds of unique pages. It will create its own URL and SEO, and you can display different items without modifying your design as well. So it helps you organize your pages and keeps you updated. And the great thing about dynamic pages is that it allows you to set permissions so that certain users can see certain content when they come to your site. So it's not just static. It will change depending on who sees it, then depending on how you set the dynamic pages to work. So let's go here and create a dynamic page for our plants. And let's see how easy it is to get started. So let's add a dynamic page. So now it's using our content collection that we have here. And just give it a moment just to get started. And as that's loading up, let's just go back to our slides here and discuss dynamic pages a bit more. So some people might be wondering about the 100-page limit. The 100-page limit that we have with dynamic pages literally act as one page. The difference is that it has a dynamic data set there that's actually changing the data that's being viewed depending on the route or the URL that's being processed here. So depending on which plant or the page that I'm on, it will change the data that's being displayed on our page. So if we go back, let's just refresh for a moment, because I think that it was hanging for a bit. And we'll head over to our integrated database here So we're going to try it again with our add a dynamic page for our plant. And we'll see in the background, all these things are working. So now within a few seconds, we already see that our dynamic page has already been created. And now we have our dynamic data set that's there. So now we have our title, our name, our image, and each plant that we can go through and actually view what that dynamic page looks like. So it's lots of features when it comes to using our dynamic page. Definitely, I would suggest you check it out, especially if you have a really heavily content-driven site that you want to show multiple pages for, and you want to avoid that 100-page limit. And as I mentioned beforehand, the dynamic pages come from our integrated databases that help you easily manage your site's content using our content manager. So you can create as many collections as you want, and you can control the permissions about who views and who edits what content is flowing through your website. So this is a view of what our content collections or data collections look like. And there's lots of field types to use. So you can store anything from images, text, audios, you name it. There's lots of data types or field types that you can store. So if you have any content that you want to show on your pages, you can do so with the content manager. So you don't have to add things statically. You can start to build dynamic websites that you don't have to manage so heavily. And as I mentioned beforehand, we do have the permissions as well. And the permissions allow you to let certain users see certain content on your pages. So if you have things that only members should view, you can do so with your permissions from the data collections. And we talked about the data sets already and how that's the bridge to your content collections and your UI elements. And that's how we're able to send that message. Yep. Okay. And next, we'll talk about connecting powerful third-party APIs. So with Corvid, you do have the ability to connect to powerful third-party APIs. So you can do so by just going here to our code files panel on the side here. And you can start with NPM. So I mentioned NPM is the world's largest registry for JavaScript packages. So if I go here and install a new package, I can find some of my favorite tools like Stripe for payments if I'd like to integrate that to my site, or Twilio for sending text messages, or SendGrid as well for sending emails. I can go here and actually find some of my favorite NPM modules. So if you have a developer that you're working with and you already have payments existing on Stripe that you want to integrate, they can go here and add that capability. So if I go here to Stripe, I can find all the different Stripe APIs and NPM modules that I can install to my site. So right now we already do have an NPM module that's already installed, and that's Twilio. So I created another example for us. And if I scroll here to the bottom, we have another window here to send us a text. So now this third-party integration will allow us to send a text from our Corvid site. It's pretty cool, right? So if I go to preview mode, let's just type in a phone number. So let me see, type in my number. And I can send a message. Hey, Wix. We'll send our message. And now my message has been successfully sent to my phone. And we are going to wait a second or two. And there we go. I just got a message to my phone saying, "Hey, Wix." So this was integrated with with the Twilio NPM module. So it's really easy to get started with. There's lots of examples on our Corvid website as well for you to check out, for you to get started with some of these examples. So as I mentioned, NPM is the world's largest registry for these JavaScript packages. So there's lots to go through. And if you have any that you'd like to request, you can do so from the editor as well. So again, these are some of our most popular integrations that we have with NPM for Stripe, Twilio, Google Stackdriver, SendGrid, Debug, Lodash. So anywhere from utilities like Lodash to services like Stripe, you can install to your site. And you can also use our Wix Fetch API as well to connect to some of these RESTful APIs. So in case there's not an npm module available for that service that you're trying to integrate with, but there is a RESTful API, you can do so using the Wix Fetch API. And you can find more information about that in our API reference by just typing in the search Wix Fetch or checking out our examples that we have on our example page on the Wix on the Corvid site. And also want to mention beforehand, before we get started, before we start to talk about the certification process with Corvid, I want to show you a cool site that's built with Corvid and some of our other APIs as well. So this site here is actually a site that's built with our Wix Animations API. So you see that there's some custom animations going on here that you might not have seen from a Wix site before. We see the shoes are floating, the sizes are changing, and as I navigate to a new page, we have even more animations going through. So our animations API actually released at the top of this year. So there's lots to do with it. And there's some examples to play around with. I definitely highly encourage you to check this API out in case you want to add some more flavor to your site and just add something more custom and unique. The animations API is definitely going to allow you to do so. So we go through the site some more. Yeah, this is serious right here. There's lots and lots of features with Corvid. There's so many to go over. So I really highly encourage you to check out lots of our resources as well. You can even do things like customize some of our verticals and APIs to build your own custom layouts. So if I wanted to also customize stuff with my store, right? So I do have Wix stores integrated into this site here. And if I want to add a custom search functionality so I can find what plant I want to purchase and I can filter what prices that I want to see on my page with the Wix stores vertical, you can't do so out the box, but you can with Corvid by using the content manager in combination with some of our internal APIs. So if you want to check out some of the code that we used here, you just open up our IDE and we have imported the Wix data API. And we added a lot of custom code here to get started. So you can add anything from something that's beginner to complex and keep things going. So let's go here to check out what this looks like. So we have a few different elements here. We have a search input box, a slider, another button to reset the filter, a text here to show and display how many items will be shown on the screen depending on how the filter is set. And then we have a repeater that's connected to data. And this repeater is connected to our products content collection. And this content collection works right off of our Wix stores vertical. So anything you add in Wix stores, it will show up in this content collection and it'll allow you to manipulate and manage how you want that content to look on the repeater. The same way how we'll do with the slider. So right now we can see all of our plants that we have, but why not add another? We have another functionality here to search. So if I was looking for, let's say, succulents, I can find all of my succulents. If I want to filter by the price, I can go here and filter by the price. So slow this a bit more. And you see that right now this total number is going to change as I filter. And I set some custom code so that you'll be able to see these changes in the numbers. So if I pick this up, now we're getting some more here. And we also do have another function here to reset our filter so that will display everything. So there's lots of ways to customize how you want this experience to be and how to look. You can add different UI elements to this, like a drop down or radio buttons. So this is a way to customize your Wix stores experience for those who are interested in doing creating e-com sites. And it doesn't stop you from using the Wix stores vertical. You can still set certain buttons in your repeaters so that we can get to those product pages. So if I click this image here, it will bring me straight to my product page and I can add my item to the cart. Great. So that shows a lot of the custom functionality that you can add to your site. But another great benefit about Corvid is that you can also get certified. So you can let your peers and customers know that you're Corvid certified and that you're really skilled using the platform. You'll be able to generate web development leads once you join the marketplace as a certified developer. And the certification process includes an online exam and also an assignment. You get tested to get the certification, but it's definitely well worth it because of the leads that it generates for you. I highly encourage you all to check out some of our resources to get started with Corvid if you haven't done so already. We have the Corvid official website, which is shown right there. Our Corvid official website has is our home for tons of our information when it comes to looking at our example pages, learning about Corvid from the surface, also viewing some of our wish lists or showcases. So we have a showcase page as well that I could actually show you guys. Wix.com/Corvid. And our showcase page actually shows some of our sites that have already been created with Corvid from some of our top users. So if I go here to our showcase page, we also had a contest early in the year for different Corvid sites that we saw, and this is Travern Up, Money Planned. And you can check out some of these websites that were made with Corvid on our showcase page. We also have a Codecademy web development course, and it's free. So you can learn how to go from zero to hero with Corvid from the ground up using Codecademy. So it takes you through an entire course that's hands-on and has you really involved in building some of these custom JavaScript functions, either if you're a beginner or advanced and want to brushing up on your skills. The Corvid forum, like I mentioned, is always open for you to go and interact with. We have lots of our community members there, and on top of that, we also have our R&D team that is there answering questions as well. There's lots of video tutorials that you can check out on our YouTube page, and even some of our past webinars that we've done about Corvid. And there's lots of code examples. And soon to come is going to be our education platform that's going to be everything Corvid. So check out some of these resources that are there. I would first start with the Corvid official site and then take it from there. And if you want to do some learning, Codecademy is definitely your place to go. So thank you guys very much. You can find us on Reddit at our subreddit Corvid by Wix. And if you have any technical questions that come to development with JavaScript and using Corvid, check us out on Stack Overflow and use the tag Corvid so that we can see some of these questions that are there, either if it's us from the team answering questions or maybe even some of our community members. And don't forget to reach out to me on Twitter and LinkedIn at Josh Alphonse. And my LinkedIn is my name, Joshua Alphonse. And we'll take some time for some questions as well. So let's see. So someone asked how to set up contact form email sending form or custom emails instead of how to set up a contact form email from our custom email instead of default Wix email. Okay, so if you want to set up a custom email form instead of using the Wix email, you can actually do so with SendGrid. So SendGrid is a service that's actually from Twilio. It's actually one of our most popular integrations that we have with NPM. So if you want to create this custom email experience that you're looking for, I highly encourage you to check out our examples page because we do have some examples on using SendGrid to set up these custom custom email forms. So if I go here and type in SendGrid on our example page, easily I can find 3 different examples that we have here for using SendGrid. So if you want to use the SendGrid API using the RESTful API with Wix Fetch, this example right here is the one for you. If you'd like to use NPM, which I would highly recommend over using the Fetch API because it would be less code and less things to manage, check out this first example here, and it'll show you how to get started to send custom emails using SendGrid and Corvid combined. So someone asked, can Twilio be used to send messages from a site to a group of users who have provided their cell phone numbers? Is it possible to integrate a PDF viewer in a repeater? So with Twilio, that depends on the Twilio, the service itself. So if you go and sign up for Twilio, there's other options for you to upgrade. But I would definitely check out their website for more information on what numbers, how many numbers you can send to at a time. Is it possible to integrate a PDF viewer in a repeater? Um, Inside of a repeater, you could, instead of having a PDF viewer inside of a repeater is basically a combination of different UI elements that we have on the page. So if you have like let's say an iframe or an image of of what the PDF is, you can go and replace it the same way I did with data, or you can go and put that PDF inside of an iframe, or there's other options as well that you can work with it. But those are the two that I would recommend. Let's see. Someone asked, can you have a custom form inside a dynamic page, and each form will associate with each individual page it's talking about? So yes, you can do that. You'll have to add some custom functionality with JavaScript to do that, but you definitely can. So I would take a look at some of our APIs, like Wixlow. Let's see, to individual page. So I would check out something like Wix data, Wix locations, Wix users. There's lots of different APIs you can get create as creative as you want with how to actually send these put these custom forms in the dynamic pages. But you can always add some custom functionality with JavaScript using Wix data to then make those forms associate with different fields in your content collection. Let's see. Someone asked, can you tell me how to set up a product page linking to merge pages that don't show in the main menu? So Jeff, I would use the Wix Locations API. And the Wix Locations API is actually pretty easy to use. So if we go back to our API reference here, Wix Location has lots of different properties and functions that you can use. So one function that I could recommend for that is using our to function. And all you'd have to do is import the Wix Locations API in your IDE, and then inside of a function, either if it's in the $W on ready function, which is a function that operates once you load the page, you can put it there, or you can have it inside of another function that you have outside of that, or like have it in an event handler. So once you click something, it can bring you to a URL. So you can either do it for a page that you have on your website or an existing URL across the web. Someone asked how to access Wix database. Again, so if we go back to our editor, if you'd like to go and reach the content manager, which would be where you'd find your databases, make sure you have dev mode on. And if you don't have dev mode on, that's okay. You can just go here to the content manager and find all your different content collections that you have. But for Corvid purposes, we're going to have dev mode on. And what we'll do is we'll go here to our side panel, go to databases, and we can check out all of our databases, either if it's ones from our vertical, like Wix stores, or ones that we've created by ourselves that would be under users. So I have families, plants, our contact form. Someone wants to know, is it possible to integrate Google Sheets and Wix stats with Stripe and PayPal payments at the same time? So a great thing about Corvid and being able to integrate these third-party services, there's no limit on how many services you can integrate with at the same time. It's just up to you about how creative you'd like to get with these services, and also the functionalities that these other third-party services have that they give across the web depending on their APIs. So it is possible to integrate Google Sheets. You can integrate Google Sheets into some of these collections that you have as well. You can use Stripe and PayPal. If you don't want, you can also use Stripe and PayPal inside the payment gateways as well from the dashboard. But if you want to add some more custom functionality with code, you can go and use their APIs available, or the npm module that I showed you before. Are there Corvid templates? Currently, there's not. There's Corvid templates. I would check out our example page, and you can get started from a lot of those templates there. Even check out some things that we have on our showcase page to get inspired. Let's see. Someone asked, I have a client who wants to integrate a small local shipping payment solution from their country. Is this possible? So it is possible to integrate any RESTful API that you have across the web with using our Wix Fetch API. So if your client has a small local shipping payment solution, if they have a RESTful API that you can interact with, then you'll be able to integrate this with your site. So again, it's up to you and your creativity. When it comes to using some of the a local shipping payment solution, I'm sure there's going to be some type of forms and some type of content that you want to display. So you can combine it with our different UI elements like our text, input boxes, or our images that are there, or even some of our repeaters as well, then to combine with that RESTful API. But for that, I would use our Wix Fetch API to integrate with that. So there's lots of HTTP functions that you can use, from get, which would display the content, post that adds the content, delete that removes the content, and update that updates the content. Somebody also asked, can you create a skip logic questionnaire and save each user and session in a database? So you can also create this type of experience with the content manager and Corvid as well. So it depends on how complex that you want the questionnaire to be. We do have some examples online on our example page for a quiz, which could technically be some type of questionnaire as well. So I encourage you to go check out our example page and check out one of the quizzes that we have there as well. And Giuseppe Luca, you also asked, is it possible to set a quantity discounts through Corvid? Quantity discounts. Is that, do you mean like if you have a certain amount of, thanks to Safi, put the gift quiz example in the chat. And Giuseppe, I'm not sure if I understand your question about how to set quantity discounts through Corvid. And Stacy, can you integrate with the Plaid API? If they have a RESTful API available, you'll be able to do so. And even easier, if they have an npm module, you could definitely look that up to see if they have a module available. And you can still follow the same documentation that they have on npm or on their API or API reference for that service. So, okay, so we have another person. I have a celebrity trainer client that wants an on-demand fitness video site with people uploading before and after photos, body metrics. Any given challenges have 2,000 to 3,000 participants. What do you recommend for loading this type of content? So for loading this type of content, you can create different databases. You can create your own custom experience with this. That's something that I would recommend, but you could also use some of our internal verticals. How I mentioned, you can create your own custom members area with Wix members and Wix users as well. With an experience like this, just from a high level overview, I would use the Wix data API. You can also use in combination with the content manager and the data sets that we showed earlier, how to connect to those different UI elements at ease. And for loading like lots and lots of content like that at a time to help optimize that, you can use our data sets to then add like a load more experience, so that your site isn't just rendering all that content at once and it's not slowed down. So as we scroll down the page, we can load more, or we can add a button that loads more as well. And also this pagination so you can go and skip to different pages. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions about Corvid? And if you do have any other additional questions about Corvid and you haven't been able to ask those today, definitely feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter. You can come and ask me any questions that you have there. And Stacy wants to know, how do you find a Wix Corvid expert to work with? That's a great question. Check out the marketplace for our Corvid certified developers. They'll be able to help you with some of these solutions that you're looking for when you're looking for some more advanced functionalities with your site. And Asaf just dropped a link there, Stacy, for you to hire a developer if you're looking for someone to do this for you. And also we have, is Wix Fetch the best way to access text HTML on a website? I don't know if I understand your question correctly. When we're using Corvid and Wix, we're not using HTML or CSS from the web, but Wix Fetch is the best way to integrate third-party services that we have across the web using the Fetch module. So it works literally the same way as the JavaScript Fetch API that you would have traditionally if you're familiar with JavaScript. Can UI elements be dynamically created at runtime? So the UI elements will be able to process that content that you have stored in your collection at runtime. Can you connect to other databases? Yes, you can. So if you go to our API reference here, we also have a section for SBIs. And then you can see here, external database collections. And this will step you through about how to connect your external databases that you have. Just keep in mind that depending on wherever you have the service, if you're using like Google for MySQL, you'll have to follow some of their documentation. And there's lots of other resources online that you can check out for how to get started. But I would start here from our SBIs from the introduction, and make sure that you're just familiar with whatever way that your database is stored and the documentation behind that and how to integrate things. So if you're using something like Google and MySQL, you'll need the secret key, you'll need the endpoint, you'll need a few things, and you'll have to follow Google's documentation for that. Okay, so we have someone looking for the Corvid certification link as well. Awesome, guys. So again, thank you guys for coming out today. So you can reach out to us on Reddit. Our subreddit is Corvid by Wix. And if you have any technical questions, feel free to check us out on our forum. Or if you want to interact with us on Stack Overflow, use the tag Corvid. Thank you so much for coming today. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. If they're Corvid related and want to know about what things could be integrated, or if you're building a project and want to know some more information, definitely feel free to reach out. Check us out on the forum. Take the course on Code Academy. And there's plenty more to come with Corvid in the future. Thank you all for coming today.